And is it stealing the joy from the game because it is so business centric so early on for them?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's making it to like a professional level because of the amount of preparedness that they have to put into to get to where they at. So it's taking that whole ability to actually have fun with the game at that particular level. It's taking it away because it's becoming so much of a business.
All right, folks, we already know that NIL is a huge topic of conversation on this show. And today we've got a very special conversation lined up for you. We're diving into the game-changing world of name, image, and likeness with the minds behind the powerful new documentary, Blue Chippers, Next Man Up. Joining us are the film's creators, writers, directors, and producers, Preston and Derek Dark. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate y'all for having us, man.
Thank you for having us.
I want to talk about your documentary, man. As I told y'all before we started recording, it's absolutely incredible. I loved every single second of it. Storytellers always have an intention when they go out to create a story. For you, what was that intention, and do you feel like you met your goal?
Well, my intention, this film, I'm a high school teacher and coach. So, I would see kids come in as freshmen and, have an aspiration to be like a 3, 4-star, 5-star recruit. They want to play major college football. And, a lot of the kids and also the parents, right? They didn't really know how the recruiting side goes. So I kind of wanted to make this film to serve as a guide to educate the general public about, what it is to be recruited and let them know how much of a business that recruiting is. So, and I'm kind of feel like I'm reaching that goal of educating the people.
For me, one of the things that I enjoyed the most about the film was that you treated the people in the film like they were human beings. I know I was in local TV for 9 years, and that was something that I didn't like about some of the reporters, is that they treated the athletes like they weren't human. And that was something that you all did in your storytelling. Was that something that you intentionally did? Like, was that something that you came in and was like, look, I want to make sure that there's a human element to these athletes?
Yeah, man, first off, they were kids, man. So like, usually like when we see these kids doing these things on the field, right, we just like we kind of look at them as superhumans, right? They're just doing all these amazing, incredible things, but really these kids, these are kids at heart. You know what I mean? Like yeah, they are mature as far as body and what they do on the field, but as far as in the mind, they still have some growth they have to do. So, man, and just like I said, like being a teacher and a coach, like, man, you got to be delicate with these kids because they go through a lot, like a lot.
In making this documentary, do you feel like the stakes of being able to make so much money so young is robbing these kids the opportunity to actually be kids? And is it stealing the joy from the game because it is so business centric so early on for them?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's making it to like a professional level because of the amount of preparedness that they have to put into to get to where they at. So it's taking that whole ability to actually have fun with the game at that particular level. It's taking it away because it's becoming so much of a business, and everything is always just business. And of course, they do the whole thing when they're recruiting you to come to these schools. They showing you all the glitz and glamour, but they're not showing you the real thing. Whenever the athletic director comes down and has that meeting with the coaching staff and says, "Hey, look, hey, you guys need to win some ball games," or "Hey, look, we need for you guys to bring in a better recruiting class." They're getting told by their superiors what they need to do, and if they don't get it done, then they're out. So they're going to project that on the kid. So that's when business becomes business, and that harsh reality sets in. And people need to understand that these people have jobs that they have to answer to someone else about. They have to report to someone else. So, and that what takes the fun out of it for real. Like that is so much for real. And people get lied to and manipulated, and they get themselves put in bad positions. And I'm talking about our young athletes.
I think some of the fun is getting taken out of the game, but also too, it's just helping so many, of the kids, their situations. Like, if you look at college football, majority of it is African American, right? And you can, and a lot of them, right, they come from poverty, they don't come from the best situations. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a give and a take in a sense. the fun is taken out, but also too, I get to take care of my family a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that's a small group of people that's able to do that. Not everyone gets that chance.
Do you feel like that's adding more pressure though on these kids to wanna or feel like they have to provide for their families early on?
Yeah, definitely, it puts more pressure on them because you're looking at the end goal is to make as much money as I can. So as those particular young men, some of them come on campus at 17 years old, and their maturity level is not there yet to make an actual decision that a full grown man would make at a comparable age. So that pressure is enormous on them, and it's going to cause them to do things and act in certain ways that we haven't even seen just yet. So because it just started, this is all new. This ain't been something that they've been doing for 10 years. This is only what 3 years removed since the law has been passed.
Do you feel like money is more of what's the best way to ask this? Do you feel like money can be to the detriment of the amateur athlete reaching his greatest potential?
Yeah, that's that. I would just say it's a good side and a bad side. And the good side is that they're making money and they're able to take care of themselves if done correctly. The bad part about it is that, for example, we have one kid that's in our documentary, which is Jacoby. Jacoby was going to Texas A&M, and he was a stud the first year, stud the second year. But then Coach Jimbo Fisher gets fired right after the season. So it's fall. Most kids hop in the transfer portal during the fall period. Well, unfortunately for Jacoby, he was manipulated into staying until the spring semester. But when you go to hop in that transport portal at the beginning of the spring semester, you have to go to the compliance office and say, hey, look, I don't want to be a part of the team anymore. I would like to enter my name into the transfer portal. But guess what? That off-campus apartment that he was staying in, that car that he was driving, all that was being taken care of by the NIL collective.
That's
And
crazy.
also, his classes was on campus. So now you were staying off campus and you had a car and NIL collective says, we're taking that money back. We're not paying you anymore. Guess what? I'm pretty sure means was not there to take care of those things. So he had to withdraw. And it's all because somebody manipulated.
Damn. So he's not in school currently, you're saying, and this is a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, somebody who was slotted to be a draft pick probably next season, and he's not even in school right now.
Not even in school right now.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's not enrolled. And like I said, like in the film, he was a 5-star kid, and you know what a 5-star means, right? 5-star means that you're projected to be a first-round NFL draft pick, right? 3 years removed from high school, and he wasn't in the draft this year. He's at home.
So then, because in college basketball, right, we have the one and done rule. In tennis and baseball, you can turn pro whenever you want. Do you feel like there needs to be a loosening of the restriction of kids that play college football being able to be pros before 3 years?
Ooh, I will say this. Yes, there needs to be a more of a developmental league. I
Okay.
think after, let's look at what this kid did from Alabama last year, Ryan Williams, right? So he literally demolished defenses. He was 17. The kid couldn't even get into the club to go to the after party. And I think the way how his upbringing was, he's been trained to be a professional for I would say the last at least 7 years before he even entered college. So yeah, I think a kid like him can do 2 years in college and then go play in a developmental league for a season and then go ahead and be draft eligible. But then you go also look at NIL. Like he's gonna make $4 or $5 million. So
Easy.
why would I want to go play in the developmental league and make 100,000? So
Yeah.
that points to college being your developmental league.
Gotcha.
The documentary highlights the good and bad, the dark side of NIL and college recruiting. I want to know from you both, what was the most shocking thing that you learned about college recruiting during this whole process?
That they'll tell you anything and really say it with a straight face.
Yeah, they will literally tell you anything to get you there, right? But now, recruiting has changed now because the kids are like, how much money you gonna give me?
Flat out.
It ain't really real recruitment no more. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about who got the best, right? It's about who got the biggest check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and that's just for majority of all the kids. You know what I mean? But you do have some of those kids is just kind of like Arch Manning, right? He don't care about money, right?
Yeah.
He knows that the long game is to get in the NFL to be better than my uncle. So he's not really caring about the money. So, but that's just Arch Manning, right? How many Arch Mannings are going to be produced in the recruiting classes year after year? It ain't gonna be that many.
Very few.
Very few. He gonna come once every few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say football is the last American sport that you still got to get it out the mud and you still go into low income areas to find recruits. Basketball is now an upper middle class sport. And of course, every other major American sport is as well because it's year round training. But football is the last sport where you kind of want that warrior mentality. And that just doesn't normally exist in suburban areas, right? So it kind of is predatory that you get to pick these kids from these impoverished neighborhoods and communities, tell them anything you want, just so that they can potentially win you a championship or boost your recruiting class. And then you can just about face on them and do whatever you want once they're inside your program. It's a really interesting concept and unfortunate for a lot of young black men.
Yeah, definitely.
And
for sure.
and some of those kids who comes from out those low income areas, like they don't have the best of like support system, and I mean like the support system of somebody who could tell them right from wrong, because it's different when Nick Saban was out there recruiting, and I heard him say this on many interviews. Like he would go out there recruiting, go sit at somebody's grandma's house. I think honestly he really cared about the kids because he said that his most troubled kids was the ones that he was the most closest with. And I really do believe that. Like he was one of those ones that was definitely an advocate for the kids. It's just that he couldn't handle the part when, kids started just asking for money. And he knew at that time it's time for me to bow out.
Well, what do you all feel like the future of college recruiting is going to look like? Especially, Derek, you just mentioned that kids are not even maybe going to programs that's the best fit. They're going to programs that are paying them the most.
I think we're going to see a lot more that's going to be asked, from the recruits perspective. Like, look, I want to stay in a penthouse, right? I want to have a ride to and from practice, right? I want to have a driver.
A driver.
You know what I mean? Like they're gonna come up with all these types of things, right? I'm gonna need a suite for my family to watch the game, right? All of that stuff. I think that's what recruiting is going to be going towards, unless they just do something with the whole NIL model, which I'm starting to see. Like, they may be moving to like a revenue split share with the student athletes, in which that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms because now you're going to have different other sports going to be like, well, we want money too, right? So.
Yeah, but your hockey team ain't bringing in money like this football program, champ. You got to shut up.
Right.
Sit your ass down.
Facts. So I don't know, man. The recruiting, I think once we see a new height reached, then another one's going to come. Then it's going to be another one, right? Until I don't know. I guess the NCAA and whoever else, legislation come up with something else to kind of like make it a little bit more easy and smoother. But recruiting is just going to get more aggressive, I think, especially when it comes down to the money. I don't see it getting no better. But some kids will take advantage of, that opportunity so they can see, so they can achieve the long haul goal, which is getting into the NFL.
My favorite storyline in the doc was Jalen Lucas. He was a 3-star recruit who lost a portion of his senior season due to Hurricane Ida. Ultimately, he ended up at Indiana University, where he became an All-American in his freshman year. He's now at Florida State. We've talked about NIL, but there was also a new ruling that I feel is going to impact recruits like Jalen, in that JUCO athletes have now been afforded 4 years of eligibility, even after doing 2 years in JUCO. How is that going to affect a young recruit like Jalen, who was under-recruited and often overlooked? Where do those kids now fall coming out of high school trying to find a spot in college?
It's going to be a little bit more difficult with the kids coming out of high school because now you're choosing from a more specific skilled pool of talent because they have played against people that are sharpened in their skills in junior college. So it's a little tougher. And then, you got to look at it with their new ruling that passed. JUCO years doesn't count anymore. So obviously there's going to be an advantage for those particular athletes coming out of junior college for sure. So someone who's like Jalen, who's a 3-star kid, by him choosing not to go to a blue blood program, which is Indiana, which is now going to become a blue blood program. But so they're not considered a blue blood program. So he's a 3-star. So he had a chance to get on the field pretty early and make an impact. So that's going to be the difference there. So if I was a 3-star kid coming out of school, I'm going to the place to where I can make an impact the quickest. And sometimes it's just not the blue blood programs. It can be the school that's in the Sun Belt Conference, such as a Louisiana Monroe, or it can be a school that's not the powerhouse in the conference, such as Indiana or Purdue
or HBCU. Let's get the young brothers to North Carolina A&T State University or Jackson State University. You feel me, baby?
Yeah, you can do that as well. That as well.
They're like, nah, I'm joking.
I mean, I'm like, look, my reservations about that is that a lot of them, I ain't gonna say they play themselves out. No, it's not that. I just think that they don't really take the shots at the top recruits as much as they should. Like, go ahead and give that kid that's a 5-star recruit if you're at HBCU. Go ahead and give him your best shot. Give him your best pitch. You never know what can happen. That kid mom might be actually the decision maker, and hey, you might like playing that pair of view because guess what? It's still part of the Texas A&M system. So you get the same benefits as you was going to Texas A&M. It's the same thing.
It's one additional benefit that they ain't got at Texas A&M. You feel me?
Yeah, it's that big TV contract for $500 million. Yeah, I understand that.
For sure. We appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. You all, if you haven't checked out Blue Chippers, please go check it out. Derek and Preston, let us know how people can watch Blue Chippers right now.
You can go, Blue Chip is available for stream on Apple TV and Amazon Prime.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming on. You all go and watch it and let us know down in the comments, what did you think of their documentary?